The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the producers and the individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff of the Sun Prairie Media Center, its members or underwriters, the board members of the Media Center Commission, Charter Communications, TDS Telecom, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hello and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jamison Rabbit, and the man seated next to me cosplays as Fred from Scooby-Doo in his free time. And that man's name is Mike Roth.
Well, I bought a cravat.
Yeah?
And there's just not much I could do with it that people would recognize anymore.
You could be Fred Lynn or Fred from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody knows who Fred from Scooby-Doo is. He is the most popular character of the entire thing.
Yeah.
Don't know why they call it Scooby-Doo.
I don't know either. Fred and his friends, that's what I call it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fred and his mystery machine.
Right.
Yep. Two of the most popular. Do you think that him and Daphne were ever...
No.
No?
Because, well, she wasn't Fred's type. I'm not gonna say
I was
anymore.
more of a Thelma Flam.
Oh,
fan
all right.
myself,
Well,
so.
look at you. So this week we have a few movies to talk about. Some big ones, some small ones, some in-betweens. But first, let's get started with what we have on our streaming spotlight for this week. And we turn to Netflix for the newest film from Steven Soderbergh. It is The Laundromat. The Laundromat stars Meryl Streep. We've heard of her as a lady named Ellen. She and her husband, played by James Cromwell, are going on this idyllic vacation aboard this boat, which suddenly turns into tragedy. And she loses her husband. And she begins investigating her insurance claim from this accident and trying to figure out what's going on with this. And it begins to unravel this string of shell businesses and fraud around the world, really. Mm-hmm. And it ties into many other victims and stories. And all of this leads back to two men, Jurgen Masick and Ramon Fonseca, played by Gary Oldman and Antonio Banderas, respectively. And they run this Panama City law firm who is running some shady business dealings, kind of moving money around and just screwing people out of their cash left and right. And this is all based on a true story. This all actually happened. Fonseca and Masick are narrators for the story. So you have Gary Oldman and Antonio Banderas basically narrating the story, really kind of confidently telling you, kind of bragging about what they did and how they were able to do this and all the backdoor deals and all these things, just bragging to you, the viewer, about how smart they are and how rich they are, and you'll never be able to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. And it ties in as far as the story, the way it's set up, and kind of having the narration. The natural comparison is The Big Short, Adam McKay's film from a couple years ago. Similar subject matter, taking a really dense subject matter and trying to, breaking the fourth wall and trying to tell the viewer in small ways.
And a lot of times with these type of movies, you do kind of need that. Most of the audience, they have a bunch of other things going on, and when they read these stories, it's more of a blip on their radar. And it gets, it's complex. Deep. It's very complex, yes. Yeah, and
we have many other people, David Schwimmer and Sharon Stone and stuff, are in this movie, and there's a lot of little stories. My favorite one is there's a very rich African guy who is found to be cheating with his daughter's roommate, and basically gives her a business that he has the deeds to, and here, I'll give you this if you don't tell your mom. And then we find out that those deeds travel back to our friends in Panama, and I guess your deeds aren't worth as much.
I like that part of the story because it gave a little bit more humor than the rest of the movie. The Meryl Streep part is usually the meat and potatoes of this, and that's her story of following this insurance fraud to all these different countries and trying to find out who was responsible, which is a dismal, sad story. And then you throw this little segment in the middle of this guy who has way too much money, purchasing pretty much love for these corporations that are supposed to be worth millions of dollars. But don't cash them in. Just keep them in your pocket. Whoever holds them, they're going to be millionaires. That was I thought was humorous, and it gave a nice little break to what was pretty sombering
There's a couple
and sad.
of depressing stories. I mean, people get murdered in this movie
Yeah.
over this.
And everybody feels like a victim except for the people at the top. And what I like about this movie, it's interesting watch all the way through. But on top of it, it's a cautionary tale of things that are still going on right now. This happened back in 2015, but this was one of hundreds or thousands of companies exactly like this all over the world, and they serve as tax shelters, so people don't have to pay taxes, which is still a very current and real situation. At the end of the movie, and this is not really a spoiler alert, they kind of lay this all out and say it's too entwined into our politics and something needs to be done. But unfortunately, it made me a little depressed because what can be done? I mean, really nothing.
And that's kind of my one issue with the movie is I'm trying to figure out what Soderbergh was trying to do with this. Was this supposed to be informative? Was he offering solutions? Or was it basically just a movie to say, here's what it is, you're screwed? And that's what I didn't like about it, because that's the way it felt. And I thought the ending of the movie, like the ending of the movie with Meryl Streep, was just atrocious.
Really?
I really hated the end of the movie so much. With her, like, first off, what I really hated was you have Meryl Streep in this movie, and then they made a choice to have her also portray the Hispanic secretary in this movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Come on. And then she's removing her prosthetics to break the fourth wall as Meryl and talking to the audience, and I was like, I don't like that. I'd hate it when they do that.
Well, I think it was par with their breaking the fourth wall in the first place. And Meryl Streep, I think she did a good job, a fantastic job. She played two different characters, and I really didn't pick up. I wasn't really hyper aware of trying to pick it up, but I didn't realize she was the.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Immediately,
As
as soon as she walked in, I'm like, oh, that's Meryl's voice.
Nah, I guess I didn't care enough to try to pay attention.
I mean, I thought Antonio Banderas and Gary Oldman were great as those scumbags.
When isn't Gary Oldman
It's
great?
true.
Yeah.
I love watching them talk, and they both have these interesting accents, and I like that. It is being compared to The Big Short. I think it is well short of that movie. The Big Short was phenomenal in how it broke everything down.
Yeah.
It took an incredibly dense thing and made it like, I walked out there like, I understand everything. I think this was trying to do that and didn't quite nail it.
The ending message didn't really kind of flow with everything else.
Right.
In the beginning, we feel like it's mostly about insurance fraud, and then we find a little bit more about how these corporations are built, including the ones that did the insurance fraud. And then at the end, we had a cautionary tale message. It was definitely more informative than I feel like we need to solve the problem. I think the director and writer, written by a book by Jake Bernstein, I think they wanted people to just be aware of what is happening.
Yeah.
And hopefully maybe something will come of it. But yeah, you feel like there is no hope at the end, and that's not a cool feeling.
But the 0.1% is controlling everything on you.
Yeah.
Do
But
something
you
about
should
it.
have known that.
Right. What did you end up giving The Laundromat?
I give it a 4. I did enjoy. Whoa. Or no,
Whoa,
that's definitely
that's
not
wrong. It should be 4 stars.
4 stars.
Guy in the booth.
I really liked the movie. I thought it was, even though kind of a downer, I did enjoy the acting and the way it looked and the flow of the movie.
Nice. Let's see what it says for me. I gave it 3 stars. I feel like Star Search. 3/4 stars, 3 stars. It's on Netflix. If it sounds interesting to you, check it out. Now for what we have on the marquee this week, Disney back for their 1 bajillionth film of the year.
And I've been saying this movie wrong many, many times.
Okay.
I'm going to do Maleficent.
There it is.
There we go. I said it right.
Nailed it.
I didn't say it right the rest of the week.
That's all right.
Directed by Johan Roning.
Oh, you nailed that one. All right.
I don't know if I did. It's not a normal name. But we got a different director, but it gives the same look and feel of the original piece, just made a couple of years ago. We have Angelina Jolie back playing Maleficent. We have Ellen Fanning playing Aurora, which is her goddaughter. She raised her. If you haven't seen the first one, you probably should.
Yeah. It's a sequel. Watch the first one.
It's a sequel. So we have Aurora, she is about to get married to a prince in a kingdom, and we have a little conflict where when Maleficent was invited to a dinner, the king was put to sleep, and Maleficent, already dubbed as an evil person.
She's a witch.
She's a witch. She's terrible. This just kind of ruins her reputation a little bit more, and she just kind of gives it the screw this. If everybody is going to be against me, I'm going to be angry.
You want me to be a bad guy? I'll be a bad guy.
But the entire time, Michelle Pfeiffer, who plays Queen Ingith,
Sure.
we find out that she's the one who's masterminding all this thing.
Mean queen.
And political power, not to be pacifist, but to start some war, which is another theme that we have a little bit later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a beautiful film. I really enjoyed the acting. I enjoyed this world that Disney has built. I like the last Maleficent a lot.
I did a lot.
I don't think this is as great as the last one, but this is still fantastic, full of color, imagination.
Yeah.
I do enjoy this.
Yeah, and I like how they branched off. They built off of the universe they built in the first Maleficent. This one, Aurora is marrying Prince Philip.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're testing family bonds. She's not actually family to Maleficent.
Mm-hmm.
So if we start dropping seeds of doubt into Aurora, how's she going to react? Is she going to turn on her?
Mm-hmm.
We get the whole princess and prince love story. I love the scene. My favorite scene in the movie is the one where Maleficent is she's practicing how to be nice before she goes to the dinner.
I like
And
it.
I love that. I think it's hilarious, and it's kind of lighthearted. I like that.
Remind me very much of Beauty and the Beast when
Yeah.
Beast was trying to smile and stuff like that, and you just get
Yeah.
this fangy, stressed out looking thing.
Yeah.
She is a fantastic actress.
The one thing I didn't like about this as much, though, was that it felt like for the middle of the movie, Maleficent checked out of the film for a while.
Mm-hmm.
There was really no Maleficent in the middle third of the movie, more or less. It became the Aurora and the Queen story.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we meet other creatures similar to Maleficent, their breed, and they're hell-bent on war against the humans. And so it becomes kind of about them and their revenge story. And like, give me some more Maleficent, Because I think Angelina Jolie is perfect in this role. I think she is just phenomenal in this role.
I think she's great, but I also love Michelle Pfeiffer. I think she is.
Well, she's great. She's been playing this role now in a few things recently. She's been playing like the deceitful older lady now.
Yeah.
She's good at it.
She's really good at it.
Yeah, she's a good actress.
I could handle more Michelle Pfeiffer and Angelina Jolie. They should have had more dialogue together.
I agree. The other thing is that, I get it's a Disney movie, but like the plot was projected from so afar. Like I'm watching this going, okay, so then this is going to happen, which is going to lead to this, and it's whatever. It's a Disney movie, but I wanted more intrigue as far as that goes.
And a lot of the relationship was also kind of mirroring the last one too, which is fine because, like I said, I watch this not for the deep story. I enjoy the world and I enjoy the actors inside it, and I thought that was really good. Not deep. And the ending was wonky.
That was what I was about to try to say. Is like I don't care for how they just wrap things up so nicely.
Yeah.
And like, both Prince Philip and the king kind of don't care so much that maybe your mom and your wife were just a horrible, deceitful, evil person. It's like, well.
And everybody in the whole town just kind of
let's all just get together arm in arm now.
Like,
all right, that's fairy tale ending.
That's
I gotcha.
very Disney though. Everything is good because we say it's good and it's good now.
Yeah. What did you give Maleficent, Mistress of Evil?
I gave it a 4. It's very strong score, but I really do love this world, and I want to see more of Disney-like movies like this.
Yeah, I love the first one a lot. This one I liked. I had some beefs with it. I didn't like how it bogged down in the middle without Maleficent, but it's still enjoyable. I gave it a 3 stars, and it's a good one to check out. And again, I think this is the movie that knocked off Joker at the box office. So Disney, of course, just making money hand over fist.
I believe it for a kids' film. I mean,
I took my daughter. She enjoyed
really
it for the first half, and she fell asleep in the middle.
No.
Maleficent was gone, and she was out. That was all she needed. The next film we have on the marquee this week is another sequel. This one coming a little further away from the original. Zombieland 2 Double Tap from director Ruben Fleischer. We bring back the whole cast from the original one. We have Woody Harrelson as Tallahassee, Jesse Eisenberg as Columbus, Emma Stone as Wichita, and Abigail Breslin as Little Rock. And we pick up now years into this zombie apocalypse, and the zombies have adapted. There's new breeds of zombies out there, and they have fun names, though this one's a Homer, different things. But zombies, there's some very resilient ones out there as well. And our heroes have kind of settled into an existence which has kind of almost become tedious. And, they are really so close-knit in like a familial way that, you start to wear on each other sometimes. And Columbus and Wichita kind of have this burgeoning romance that, it's going to be tested. It has its problems. Little Rock has grown up. She was a little girl in the first one. She's grown up, and she kind of dreams of finding a guy. She's watching her sister fall in love, kind of, and it's only pointing out to her that, hey, I'm a lady now. This is not cool. And our guy Tallahassee has the itch to go out on his own. He doesn't want to just sit around. He wants to go out and find some more zombies and make his way. And at some point in the film, they get separated. Little Rock gets separated from the rest of the group, and they must head out on the road in search of her. And one of the things that I wasn't expecting that I really loved, my son loved too, is the plot centers very heavily on Elvis and Graceland. Very Elvis heavy. And we also meet some other humans in this film, which we didn't really get in the first one. We get Madison, played by Zoe Deutsch, who shows up as the complete airhead. And we also get Tallahassee and Columbus's doppelgangers, played by Luke Wilson and Thomas Middleditch, in an interesting little turn. And I love, first off, I love Woody Harrelson to death.
Yeah.
And just the opening scene, this movie borrows the same thing as the first one did, where there's a lot of slow motion as in the credits. Music's jamming, and we're just getting the slow motion of them killing zombies. And he doesn't want to shoot the zombies. He wants to get up close. So he's out there with a crowbar, and he's running and just tackling one and has this big smile on his face. He's so happy to be doing this. Even years into the zombie apocalypse, he's so excited to kill zombies. I enjoy that. What did you think about our Zombieland 2, sir?
I had really high expectations. I did enjoy this movie, but I didn't enjoy it as much as the last one. The last one had a little bit more character development, and I got sucked into the world a little bit more. Where this one, the characters are well established, so it's more about just bringing us back to the world of Zombieland instead of really their personal relationships. They do have personal relationship problems, definitely in this, but it felt a little too late because they've been together for so long.
Sure.
A lot of these issues I figured would have been solved maybe 8 years prior to this.
All right.
But besides that, I enjoyed being back into the world. I enjoyed seeing a bunch of silly zombies getting killed. I enjoy watching Woody Harrelson having so much joy out of this.
He finds the little joys in life in the zombie apocalypse.
The extra characters that they threw in, Madison and all the pacifist army, and that part I felt was a little bit. It was. These people were more cliches than they were personalities.
Sure.
And
I like that they opened the world up a little bit, though, in this one. And it's not just the typical, I hear in Atlanta they got a refuge, It was a little something off of that.
I wish they used more people that I could pinpoint as real people instead of stereotypes. We did get Nevada, though, and Nevada was fantastic.
I mean, it's Rosario Dawson.
A lot. Yeah.
She's amazing. I think it was kind of smart to have Abigail Breslin's character of Little Rock be the one who got separated because I like Abigail Breslin as an actress, but she hasn't done a whole lot in recent years.
No.
She was Little Miss Sunshine. She was in this. In recent years, she kind of has disappeared from things that you would see. And I think she's the weakest of the cast. And so when they peeled her off to do her own thing, I'm like, that's all right. That's fine.
I felt pretty good with that. I didn't want Madison to be replaced in that spot, which was somewhat of a grating character.
She was, but I mean, purposely. She's supposed to be grating. She's supposed to be horribly annoying, and you I found myself sympathizing with Tallahassee's just irritation with her, and I thought that was hilarious. And Emma Stone's amazing. I mean, she's Emma Stone. She's amazing. I love her in this.
She is amazing.
I found a lot of laughs in this movie. I don't think it's as good as the original. I love the original.
The original's awesome.
It's really, really good.
And to Chris Farley, it was so awesome.
But I like this. I'd take one of these like every 10 years. You're going to make another Zombieland movie, get the gang back together. I mean, this was 10 years ago the first one came out.
Weren't they going to do a TV series at one point?
I'd heard about that,
Yeah.
but we never got that. I mean, you just want to put Woody and the gang back. This is like the only thing I can stand Jesse Eisenberg in.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm not a fan of his in most things. And it's like, yeah. And this is probably where he's at his most annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But it works for me.
But you got the offset of Woody Harrelson that makes him kind of shine. Makes actually Woody shine a little bit more.
What did you give Zombieland 2?
I gave it a 3. I thought it was good, but my expectations were a little high.
All right. I give it 3.5. I think the first one I gave like a 4.5. Love it.
That's deserved.
So, yeah, I think 3.5 for me on Zombieland 2. All right, let's take a look back, sir, as we continue our series of talking about Best Picture winners over the years, and we're going way back to one of the very early Best Picture winners. I believe is the third Best Picture winner of all time, to 1930 for a film called All Quiet on the Western Front from director Louis Milestone. This is, in my mind, like the definitive World War I movie. Surprisingly, it's a very anti-war film, which is very surprising for this time, when it feels like everything was like, you got to support the soldiers, you got to support this. It shows the men who fight wars for those who have power and that make money from it, and these are just the guys out there being basically thrown into the meat grinder. And it portrays some pretty brutal trench warfare. That was the hallmark of World War I. And there's a lot of characters in here.
There is.
There's one guy that I really enjoy. Well, there's two guys I really enjoy in this. First one is Paul, played by Lou Ayres, who he's kind of the main guy in this film, who we see them basically from the time they enter into the military. And at one point, he gets furloughed to go home. And you see that war has changed him so much that he can't even enjoy his furlough, and in fact, goes back to the war early. Cuts out his furlough early. Like, I guess my home is in the trench now.
I like that aspect of this film. I love how they start off. It's a little weird because this is German and everybody speaks American, like perfect. They don't do it's an English accent, so obviously it's German. Everybody acted very American in this, which I thought it gave a more humanizing, and not to offend anybody, but as Americans, it's easier to kind of relate to someone if they have if they sound like you. They start these guys off at school where the teacher is telling them how great it is to die for your country. And this whole movie is about the fantasy that people at home have of war compared to the actuality and the damage the actuality does. Over 2.5 hours, which is pretty darn long for back then. We go through all these different scenarios that people at war have to go through, and then you go back home, and that furlough part was fantastic because he goes back and everybody is calling him a traitor and a coward because he doesn't support going to war. And it's like, well, you haven't seen what I've seen. You only have this fantasy
you just
that
have your
you built
propaganda.
up. And once you get to where I've been, and he was at war for 3 years, the war went on for 4.
And just watching people just get mowed down.
You watching your friends go back, and he gets back from his furlough, and he sees all these 16-year-old kids, and his friends aren't there, and it's like, that happens. That does happen, and it was extremely powerful. I didn't like the acting, but the movie, the message, knowing how old this thing is, and how they were taking risks with their message, even back then, was fantastic. And this was before World War II, so I mean, I guess you could take a little bit of risks with your words when there's no involvement. But
I loved, like, there's the old rugged soldier who's just teaching them all the little things when they get on the battlefield. When I fall down, you go down. Like, all this, I thought he was great. This film, like, it feels to me like it inspired a lot of the camaraderie that we saw in Saving Private Ryan. I think it was borrowed heavily from this film. And it's just kind of an all-time classic war film that doesn't glorify the fight. It doesn't glorify the men involved.
It kind of feels a lot like all those 80s films of Vietnam. There was no, hey, Vietnam War was great.
It really it humanizes the war and kind of the bleakness of it, and the side that most people don't see. This film was at the third Academy Awards ceremony. It was held in November of 1930. Oddly, they used to do it. This was the ceremony for films released between August of 1929 and July of 1930. They split the year, so they'd have two ceremonies. It's weird. This won Best Picture. It also won Best Director, the first film to get both awards. Lou Milestone also won the Oscar the previous year for Best Director for Two Arabian Nights. First man to ever do that, to win back-to-back years. And this was the first Academy Awards that offered an award for sound recording, because the first couple didn't have a lot of talkies in them.
I just recently watched Duck Soup.
Great one.
That is fantastic. But the movie I saw, which was Charlie Chaplin back in 1914, that's only like a little sliver right before this.
Yeah.
And the quality and the sound, it's amazing what they did over such a little amount of time.
So this beat out films The Big House, Disraeli, The Divorcee, and The Love Parade. And from my count, I went and counted how many movies came out during the period. 18 movies were released in that time period. Amazing.
They were
not even one a week. I love it. What a time. So anyways, All Quiet on the Western Front, a great film to check out.
Great film.
Absolutely.
Oh, and also check out Duck Soup sometime.
Yeah, why
not?
That
is a great theater.
I love that. All right, let's take a look ahead at what is coming soon, the weekend of November 1st, sir. We have a few films. The first one is Arctic Dogs, a new animated film about a dog who dreams of being a husky courier.
Not it.
Oh, you get all the dog movies, man. You're my dog guy.
This is a cartoon.
You get it. We also have Harriet, the story of Harriet Tubman.
That looks
we
fantastic.
have Motherless Brooklyn, which is the film directed and starring Edward Norton. It is a noir crime drama.
Not sure about that one
I'm
yet.
really curious about this one. And lastly, we will have Terminator Dark Fate, which finally I wanted to see this trailer before every movie. Oh, Lord help me. I am so tired of that trailer.
It's crazy how we get sick and tired of some of these trailers.
Yeah, well, I've been watching it for 6 months. Before we leave you, though, we segue right into it. I would like to thank our sponsor who shows us all these trailers, Marcus Theaters, the Palace here in Sun Prairie. Thank you for sponsoring the program. If you want to keep showing us trailers, we'll keep watching them. That's fine.
It's all worth it.
It is definitely all worth it. Sir, next week we have a streaming film on Netflix called Dolomite Is My Name. That's the return of Eddie Murphy to the big screen, as it were, depending on how big your TV is, I suppose, because it's on Netflix. We also have Black and Blue. We have the horror movie you can't wait for, Countdown. Will the phone app kill you, Mike? We're going to find out.
I'm looking forward to that.
If they told you that there was an actual app that you have to download before you go in, would you open it up?
No, I'm lazy.
Oh, okay, fair enough. We also have the A24 film The Lighthouse, which I am crazy excited for.
Are we going to get that?
Well, some places are.
They're going to do that thing where it's only on the West Coast and East Coast, and I can't even get to it.
We'll talk about that after the show. And we'll also next week be wrapping up our Best in Show series with our final Best Picture winner. Is it the best Picture winner of all time? If we were to rank them, next week I want to know what your favorite Best Picture winner of all time is. You look at that list, you pick out your number one.
I'll have to think
maybe a
about
Mount
that
Rushmore.
one.
Maybe we'll do a Mount Rushmore. Yeah. But next week, maybe we'll make that list. Who knows? You'll have to tune in next week to find out what we're talking about. It's going to be rather exciting. And next week is also going to be our Halloween episode.
Yeah.
So costumes for everyone.
We're going to be dressing up. I know you will too.
Absolutely. I'm going to eat some of those little peanut butter kisses.
I have a bunch.
Do you?
Yeah, I love those
I don't
things.
care for those.
I get them when they're like 75%
The orange
off.
and black ones?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they get hard really quick, I feel like.
I like it.
No, thank you. Let us know what your favorite Halloween candy is. Post on our Facebook page at Real Reviews TV. Let us know what your favorite Halloween candy is and what your favorite Oscar award-winning film is. We'll be talking about all that next week right here on the program. But until that time, I'm Jamison.
I'm Mike Raw.
Thanks for watching.